Thank you for your interest in Missouri's Special Education State Performance Plan and Annual Performance Report process. This is the complete list of SPP indicators. This presentation will cover Indicator 3 on state assessment participation and proficiency rates. Indicator 3 looks at state assessment data in 4 ways. A looks at the participation rate for students with disabilities. B looks at the proficiency rate for students with disabilities on the regular grade level assessments, which are the MAP assessments in grades 3 through 8 and end of course assessments in high school. C looks at the proficiency rates for students with disabilities on the alternate assessments, which are for students with the most severe intellectual disabilities. D is a new addition to the SPP APR and looks at the gap in proficiency rates on grade level assessments or end of course assessments between students with disabilities and all students. Another big change for Indicator 3 is that instead of reporting on all tested grade levels, we will only be including grades 4, 8, and high school, and we will be setting targets for each grade level separately. The data source is state assessment data from the test vendors for the regular MAP assessments in grades 3 through 8 and alternate assessments for grades 3 through 8 and 11, and the end of course assessments at the high school level. This slide shows a list of professional development and resources that are related to or would support school districts in educating students with disabilities. You can request additional information on any of these by sending an email to the address at the end of this presentation. These charts show the participation rates for the last 3 years of state assessments. Note that state assessments were not held in 2020 due to the COVID-19 and school closures. The chart on the left shows English Language Arts, or ELA, and the chart on the right shows mathematics. The blue bars represent grade 4 for 3 years, orange bars represent grade 8, and the gray bars represent high school. We've had very high participation rates in the state, with only a small decrease in 2021. States are allowed to set the participation targets at 95%, which aligns with the Federal Elementary and Secondary Education Act requirements. These charts show the proficiency rates for the last 3 regular grade level and end of course assessments. The chart on the left is for English Language Arts, and the chart on the right is for mathematics. The blue bars show 4th grade proficiency, which includes students scoring proficient or advanced on the assessments. The blue lines show the proposed targets for future years. The orange bars show 8th grade proficiency, and the orange lines show the proposed targets for 8th grade for future years. The gray bars show high school proficiency on the English 1 and Algebra 2 end of course assessments. The gray lines show the proposed targets for high school and future years. Overall, the 2021 results were lower than 2019, presumably due to COVID-19. In general, the proposed targets are based on a couple of factors. First was to get back to 2019 proficiency levels within 2 or 3 years, but where there were larger decreases, we set the final year closer to 2019 levels. Second, due to the planned science of reading work to be implemented in kindergarten through grade 3, we made the 4th grade ELA proficiency targets a little more aggressive than other grade levels or content areas. These charts show the proficiency rate for the last 3 years on the alternate assessment, or MAP-A. The chart on the left is for English Language Arts, and the chart on the right is for mathematics. The blue bars show 4th grade proficiency, which includes students scoring proficient or advanced on the assessments. The blue lines show the proposed targets for future years. The orange bars show 8th grade proficiency, and the orange lines show the proposed targets for 8th grade for future years. The gray bars show high school proficiency, and the gray lines show the proposed targets for high school for future years. Overall, the 2021 results were lower than 2019, presumably due to COVID-19. In general, the proposed targets are based on getting back to the 2019 proficiency levels within 2 or 3 years, but where there were larger decreases, we set the final year closer to 2019 levels. Indicator 3D examines the proficiency gap between all students and students with disabilities on the regular grade level and end of course assessments. The chart on the left is for English language arts, and the chart on the right is for mathematics. The blue bars show the fourth grade proficiency gap. The blue lines show the proposed targets for future years. The orange bars show the eighth grade proficiency gap, and the orange lines show the proposed targets for eighth grade for future years. The gray bars show high school proficiency gap, and the gray lines show the proposed target for the high school for future years. For the last 3 test administrations, the gap has not changed consistently across content areas or grade levels. We're proposing minimal decreases to the gap, knowing that decreasing the gap means that students with disabilities need to improve proficiency rates more than all students. On this graph, called the scatter plot, each dot represents one school district. The placement of the dot indicates the number of fourth grade students with disabilities tested and the percent of those students who scored proficient or advanced on the MAP test. The red line represents a possible target for fourth grade ELA proficiency. Each dot above the red line represents a district that would meet or exceed the target, and each dot below the red line would be a district that would not meet the target. The scatter plot gives a visual on the number of districts that would need to increase the number or percent of fourth graders in the proficient or advanced levels in order to impact the overall state results. This scatter plot shows district results for math in grade 8. Again, the dots below the red line give an idea of the number of districts that would need to increase the number or percent of 8th graders in the proficient or advanced levels in order to impact the overall state results. The feedback survey asks 3 important questions about improvement activities. Please help us identify what's working, what's not working, and what we can do to improve results for students with disabilities so that the state and local school districts can meet the targets we are setting for the future. We need your feedback. Click on the SurveyMonkey link or use the QR code on this slide to go directly to the survey, or you'll find these indicator recordings and feedback surveys on the SPP APR Stakeholder Information webpage. Questions about this process should be emailed to speddata@desi.mo.gov. Thank you so much for your time and participation.